So, Ben Carson writes in the Wall Street Journal, America needs a safety net, not a hammock, and that congressional Democrats want to decouple welfare from work, undermining the American work ethic. And the former Housing and Urban Development Secretary joins me now to talk about it. Ben, as always, sir, you are most welcome. You know, I have been complaining, but actually, Ben, I've been echoing, I think, the good works of Democrat Senator Joe Manchin on the issue of coupling welfare to work in some way, shape, or form, and work requirements. On this point, he sounds like a follower of Ben Carson and Donald Trump. But your op-ed piece, you know, you put a cap on it.
Well, we're not doing people any favors when we make them dependent upon the government. One of the reasons that this country accelerated the way it did is because people were incentivized to work. And this is not to say that Americans aren't very compassionate people. You know, in 2020, Americans gave almost $500 billion to charities. Think about that. And 1 billion hours of volunteer work. So, but that's for people who are elderly, people who are disabled, people who can't find work. We're very happy to help those people. But people who can work, why should they live off of everybody else? It doesn't make any sense. And also, it impairs them. If you go to a job, you gain skills, you gain relationships, you gain opportunities, you climb that ladder, you go much higher up that ladder than you would sitting at home waiting for a check.
I've always felt, Ben, there's no opportunity to climb the ladder if you're on welfare. It's just a complete dead end.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a problem. And of course, you know, the left frequently says, well, if you don't want people to have this, that's because you're cruel and evil and non-compassionate. It's really just the opposite. Compassion is getting people to the place where they become self-sufficient and where they begin to see their pathway to enjoying the American dream. And look how America, compared to the rest of the world, you know, has contributed to advancements. Why is that? It's because people were working. If they were sitting at home doing nothing, they probably wouldn't be coming up with these great ideas.
You know, you're right. It's so wonderful. You cite Arthur Brooks, who's an old friend of mine, used to run the American Enterprise Institute. He identified meaningful work as one of the keys to happiness. I've used it, honestly, I've used it for years. I know Arthur very well, that vocation is central to the American ideal. I mean, it just, you know, kind of like, Ben, we don't hear that kind of talk anymore, and I wish we would.
Well, the can-do attitude is what made us great. And it's the what can you do for me attitude that will destroy that greatness. And again, we, the American people, are not each other's enemies, and we have to stop allowing people to pull our strings and manipulate us and pit one group against another group. These issues that I'm talking about, these are not Democrat or Republican issues. These are American issues and the American way. And you go back and you think about the fact that our founders created this amazing document called the American Constitution. And what was the purpose of that? It was to give the people a tool to control the government, because governments have a natural tendency to grow, to expand, to dominate. And it's not because they're bad, it's because that's the natural tendency of governments. And they knew that. They had studied many, many governments throughout history, and that's why they gave us that. So when you have a government that is giving people, you know, money, just giving them benefits without tying that to work or to responsibility, that's a government that's getting out of control, certainly in terms of the kind of America that was envisioned by our founders.
You know, Ben, the battle will be joined again. So this big social spending, $4 trillion bill or whatever, the House says it's going to publish the bill November 15th. So that's just about a week. And then it's going to go to the Senate. But my question to you is, what should be done to get workfare back in to social spending programs. The Democrats have stripped it out. They've gone against, one of their better presidents, in my humble opinion, Bill Clinton, who worked with Newt Gingrich. But it's a battle worth fighting, I should think.
Well, it needs to be fought, and it needs to be talked about. It needs to be explained to the American people. Don't just assume that everybody knows what you're talking about, but give examples. The fact of the matter is, this is a country that provides enormous opportunities for people. If you get an education or you have some particular skills and you're willing to work, you can go out there and you can do extremely well, even in the environment that exists today, which is declining rapidly, secondary to choices that have been made by governmental officials. That can be reversed very quickly. But in a person's individual life, if they get a good education, it doesn't matter where you came from. You can do well. You can write your own ticket in this society. And that can-do attitude is something that we no longer seem to talk about. We don't want to talk about American exceptionalism. But the fact of the matter is this country went from a bunch of ragtag militiamen to the pinnacle of the world in record time. And if we're going to stay there, we need to reevaluate those principles.
Thank you, Ben Carson, former HUD secretary. Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure.